Cool. Well, hi everyone, my name's Alex. I'm the founder of SilverScript Games, a studio that's working on this game called The Quiet Things. It's actually my autobiography, so it's a personal story about my life when I was younger. There's a small team of us. There's me, there's Tabby, Liam, and Connor, who are all artists who work on the game. As you can see, it's gonna, they've done a lot of work on the environments, and you'll see more of that as we play the game. There's also Kevin, who's our sound designer, and Kirsty, who's our casting and voice director, which is also such an important part of the game because the dialogue's really important, and the performances for that had to feel real. So yeah, we can have a play with the sayings, but I don't think we really need to do any of that. And I popped the credits in there if you wanted to find out who the team was, who did what, things like the actors as well. You might know some of them, and you might not. But they're all very, very talented. A quick content warning. Well, you'll get it in a second, actually. I'll read it with you. So yeah, as it says, the game contains references to topics such as grief, loss, depression, self-harm, suicide, and abuse. And so if you're not cool with that, or if you are cool with that, it's totally fine. You don't have to watch this. There is absolutely nothing graphic ever represented in the game. And we try our absolute best to deal with the topics in an appropriate and sensitive way, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you or trigger you if you've got your own experiences with it. So I would just be aware while you're either watching the stream or if you're playing the game yourself, especially to be mindful of that and to take a step away if you need to. That's totally fine. I mean, nobody would know, but nobody would judge you anyway. So on that note, let's go. These statistics really surprised me when I looked them up, and to be honest, I think they're actually higher. There's always a lot of stuff that goes unreported as well as what they actually have on record. But yeah, one person a minute. I've got a controller, so I'll switch it. Anyway, right, let's listen to the first thing.
Where are you? Did you get the same text from Alice?
Oh, what text?
She said something about not being able to live with what she's done and to say goodbye to her baby brother.
Oh, God. I'm getting on my bike now. I think I know where she is.
I'll get in the car, but there's traffic, so you'll be quicker.
Okay, bye.
Love you, bye.
So, yeah, that's two people talking, and they're obviously worried about the person they're talking about. We don't know much more than that in the game. Then we come to this second phone. Obviously, I would never tell you exactly what model or make of phone I had because that would be a copyright problem, but you may recognize the references to them if you were of a similar
Hello,
age.
police. Where are you calling from?
The motorway bridge near the train station.
And what's the nature of your emergency?
I've just come past a girl climbing over the railings on the bridge, and she seemed really distressed. I think she might be trying to jump.
Okay, and can you see her now?
Well, I'm at the bottom of the bridge. There's another person with her now, but it just seemed like a bit of a sketchy situation.
Okay, sir. Stay on the line. I'll send somebody to attend right away.
Okay. So it's raining and we have this police car at the end of the bridge. But we can't go any further than that. We also have a nice number plate there if you get that reference. So there's a bag here and then the arrow is guiding you to click this railing.
Alice, wait!
Just a dream. Just a bad dream. Dad?
Okay, so this is 8 years prior to where we just were. But in case it's not obvious at this point, there's subtle clues. But the person being called after on the bridge was called Alice, and this is her as a little girl. So, ooh, that's my doggy. We can have a look in the wardrobe. There's some clothes. I also feel like a lot of people, perhaps if they grew up in England or went to school, had to wear similar kind of uniform and do similar fashion. There's a diary entry here. So it says, all about me. Name, Alice. Age, 8. Eye colour, blue. Hair colour, brown. Height, I don't know. Pets, fish in the garden. One ginger cat called Rolo, and a hamster called Toffee. Favourite food, pizza, but ice cream too. Favourite animal is a wolf. And hobbies include writing, drawing, skipping, which she can do 100 skips, and cross stitch. So this is Rolo, right? He's a cat. And there's lots of animal posters around the room as well. So yeah, if you hadn't guessed, like, this story is my story, which I said, but we renamed everyone in the game, so my name is actually Alex, but I renamed it to Alice just because it creates healthy separation, as people often ask, how do you manage dealing with kind of retelling your trauma and reliving that stuff. And so within the game I talk about it as a separate person, even though naturally it's my story. And this room is pretty close to the room I had. I definitely had a bed like this. You know, the fairy lights, not so many. But it's just creative license to make it feel a bit more cozy. I think people often thought it was potentially a horror game, and it's really not a horror game. Anyway, let's interact with the guitar.
Dad said he would give me a lesson.
There's a Play Kid Hue. There's no game in it, although there is 2 games for it there, but we can't do anything with them. And photos. Some of the photos in the game are really of me as a child, but when it comes to most other people, they're not real photos, because that would be crossing a line.
They treat me like I don't understand.
So the book says, The Lonely Hedgehog, What Happens When You Lose Mum or Dad. It's a book about helping a child cope with loss, death, and grief. Losing a parent is never easy, especially at a young age. This book will help a child come to terms with losing one or both of their parents. I remember they were people from, I guess it was a church group or related to the church, because I went to a Church of England school. So this is why there's references to that quite often. I don't really consider myself particularly religious now, but it was often the case growing up in England sometimes that the best school in the area might have been a religious school, and so you would kind of engage with that to be able to get a good education. And it was people from that church that brought me books to kind of explain death. They weren't all necessarily religious, they were just trying to help, but I personally found it frustrating when I was 8, because I felt like I knew what they meant anyway, and I didn't need people to tell me what was going on. Anyway, let's click the diary.
Dear Diary, or what should I call you? My name is Alice. That's a weird way to start a diary. At school, my teacher gave me a book about a girl called Anne Frank, who kept a diary. She always started it with Dear Kitty. I'll have to think about who to write my diary to, but it's nice to talk to someone.
I really love the way that lights reflect on this book is just super satisfying to look at and shiny. Little Pepper. I was strongly considering putting an achievement in the final game for interacting with the Tamagotchi on like each option you get. There's some postcards, one's from Wales, and a monkey, and some post-its, but there's nothing on them at the moment, and Christmas cards. So this part of the game is set at Christmas. Okay, let's move on here.
I'm not allowed a TV in my room, so I pretend.
I don't know if anyone else ever did that as a child. We used to make stuff out of cereal boxes all the time, including like cards and TVs. So, yeah, we were. I think I was very jealous if other people had TVs or games and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I had small amounts of games through here, but not like a PlayStation.
Mum, she's at the hospice though.
So this is actually a photo of my mum. People often say, "Oh, is that Princess Diana?" And I think she would love that because she likes Princess Diana a lot. Periodic table. I don't think I ever really learnt all the elements properly, but there was that really cool song that we did at school that was like arsenic, selenium, something, something, something.
Wolfie will look after your dad's out.
Cute. I've always liked cuddly toys a lot as well. Never grow out of that. Right. Bathroom. There's nothing to click on here, but there's a little ship and a sink.
We used to give my mouse baths in the sink.
So this is genuinely true. I had a pet mouse and then later on had a hamster. And they're quite cute, to be fair. They, we used to clean out his cage and then he used to have, like, we put like a cup in the middle of the sink for him to sit on, so he wasn't drowned in it. He could like get off it and his little tail would like wiggle and then get back on it. I thought it was cute.
I shouldn't flush the toilet at night in case it wakes people up.
Fair. Okay. So down the end of the corridor there is a door with the names Daniel and Samuel on it, but we can't actually interact with it. Not for this demo. This is, I'd say, the master bedroom, parents' bedroom.
It smells like Mum.
So there's tissues in a box, very much needed for this kind of game. And this is a picture of me and my mum when I was little. It's one of my favourites actually. And she always had really nice smelling perfume. Bible, TV. So yeah, Charlotte Jennings, really lovely artist, did this artwork with a computer. I think it really captures the time that it was, and so this is someone searching for an alternative treatment for asbestos cancer. And if you're not aware, it's usually caused by breathing particles in through the lungs, and so it gets your breathing usually. And the other searches on there is second medical opinion and a hospice opening hours. You can have a look in the wardrobe. Just has 2 sets of clothes. And then we've got a phone.
You have
here.
one new message. Sent today at 5:46 p.m. New message.
Hello, this is a message for Simon. It's Pippa, at the hospice. We're just giving you a call as your wife is not doing well and we think it might be important that you come over. She might not have long left. Give us a call back or just turn up.
Okay, so I think by now, or maybe not by now, I don't know how obvious it is to people who I've played this demo many times. So there's some pictures of me and my brother. And so there's 2 jackets here and 2 pairs of shoes. If you look closely, to me, they're children's shoes, not adult shoes. And 2 school bags. And some more photos here, also of me and my brother. He's very kindly given permission to use these photos. And a leaflet. So it says Advanced Care Plan Choices for End of Life Care. And it's from a hospice.
The car's gone.
So yeah, I think if you're getting the little bits of information that we put in the game, you know that Alice has woken up. The dad's not home, and there's a message on the answer phone about having to go to the hospice as soon as possible. Okay, cool. All about my family. There's me, Alice, and my 2 brothers, Daniel and Sam. Daniel is 6 and Sam is 4. Then there is my mum, but I don't know her name, she's just Mum. And then Dad, but he has lots of names and changes which one he uses. Sometimes people call him his middle name. Mum and Dad are both old. Daniel is good to play with, but I always win, of course. Sam is annoying most of the time because he can't play properly yet. I did let him share my private island though, as long as he was the baddies.
The more tinsel, the better.
I feel like I was kind of cute. I don't know. There's some photos here actually as well. Yeah. Nice.
When Mum was home, I stayed at school for a week pretending to be ill. We watched Lovejoy every day.
True story. As it is.
We still don't have a memory card, so I leave it on to keep my place.
So yeah, although I wasn't allowed games and a TV in my room, we did have one. I think we only got it just that Christmas because Mum was so ill. We were allowed to play games. It was like a good distraction or way to babysit us because there's three siblings. But yeah, we didn't have a memory card. I feel like it was like a year until we got one and I could actually save my games, but it probably was only a few months. But a few months feels like a year when you're that age. And it was always really annoying. Or even if you were playing something and then there was like a power cut overnight, it seemed to happen more frequently when I was younger. It doesn't happen that much nowadays. We definitely had this picture in our house. And some people were saying to me when we were showing the game as well, this cherub picture, that it seemed to just be in every household at the time. It was, I don't know why, popular.
I'm not really hungry.
We did put some newspaper stuff in there. We kind of looked at relevant articles from the time as well. Some pictures. Got 20th of December. Go next door for Christmas songs. Oops, sorry. 23rd, Dad coming to help out with kids. 24th, hospice after lunch. Well, our hospice opens at 10 AM. Kids to cinema for HP. What could that be? And then shopping list and a postcard. There's a mug here that says Best Dad. And Dear Diary, I'm at a sleepover right now and we're writing in our diaries. I went to a fair with Amy earlier and there was maypole dancing. See you then. Okay.
Beans on toast for dinner? I should go back to bed.
I like the fridge magnets as well. Tabby did a great job on the details of them. They're cool. Right, okay.
I'm sorry. Listen, let's just sit down. There's There's no way you're sugarcoating this. Your mum, she's dead.
That dream again. Always running and being chased. But what does it mean?
So yeah, in the full game, you wouldn't skip forward in time so quickly. You would have a lot more smaller snapshots that you work through in this way. But we wanted to show child Alice as well as teenage Alice so that you got to experience both of those worlds. Otherwise, it would be way too long and probably not half the story. But you know, you'd get a lot of the full game in there. So fashion styles changed a little bit. Let's click the guitar.
I can actually do most chords now. Except an F. Well, nobody likes an F.
This post is amazing. I love it so much. This is Tabby's work again. It's great. Obviously, it's a reference to a very, very cool band that I think we all like, actually. And this, both guitars made by Connor. Really gorgeous as well. Okay, let's read this diary entry. So it goes pretty heavy. And naturally, this is the kind of stuff. And these are my real diary entries, like word for word, apart from names and maybe places or identifying information. But these are genuinely what I wrote, and so it wasn't something that I ever thought people were going to read, which makes it real, I think. And it was an outlet to really talk about all the things that I was thinking and feeling at the time that I wouldn't have ever necessarily said to someone else. Anyway, let's read it. Dear Diary, today I haven't self-harmed at all. I had a long chat with Miss Smith at school. I got myself really worried and scared, but she was there for me and even hugged me. She let me skip graphics. Well, she let me work on my own in another classroom. But everything that we said to each other won't be put on paper. It's a secret, and that's what it shall stay. She said she was really worried about me, though. I meant to see someone on Monday and talk to Miss Smith again. I'm okay at the moment, though. Not happy or anything, just tired. I have no more energy left for being angry and scared. Well, I'm sure when I close my eyes, my mind will find a nightmare for me. Right later. I'm really tired. Sorry. I'll tell you everything that's happened today, tomorrow. I'm not sure that I did, though. Maybe I did. I can't remember everything page for page. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't write everything all in one go. Maybe it takes a while to write things and it can be tiring when you've gone through it all on the day and you just want to go to bed, maybe. Anyway, look, there's extra games now. To be fair, my friend probably had lent me a DS by then as well, but that was, you know, the console that I had. I had a lot of Nintendo stuff. I was really lucky, actually. Lucky in my friends and what they'd lend me.
I'm running low, but I just spray once. And for a second, she's almost here with me again.
I actually still do have the perfume bottle that I'm talking about in this. I mean, I wrote all the scripts for it, so it's based on that. And smell's a funny thing. It can transport you somewhere almost instantly, or you just get the feeling of how you felt at a certain time. It's one of like it evokes emotions a lot. September calendar. This is a pretty good replica of the kind of bag that I had at that age as well. I still have it as well. Keep everything.
Anarchy in the classroom. Am I right?
I think a lot of people my age would have had. I mean, even now, actually, it's kind of popular again to be. Well, it's called Y2K now, isn't it? But it's like noughties culture. These kind of belts and yeah. I started bleaching my hair at a fairly young age. Never mastered the Rubik's Cube though, have to say. Doggies, some games. This is kind of a reference to the fact that we're playing a game, but you know. Okay.
I desperately wanted Converse shoes for so long, and my friend Amy got me them for my birthday. I thought Dad would get mad, but he hasn't said anything.
Okay. We've got some diary entries. Dear Diary, so everyone went back to school today. In a way, I was excited to get back to school. Maybe it was to get away from the family. I don't know why. It's not that bad or anything. Now I think about it, maybe it's because it's easy to get away with self-harming when I'm away from home all day. I've heard people say it's addictive like drugs. I suppose in a way it is. I'm just so afraid that my parents will find out. That's why when it's easy for me to get found out, I stop altogether until the danger is not so dangerous. It's like easing away any fears my parents might have that I self-harm. I went to my granddad's place up north for a week with my brothers. I made sure any cuts had healed up completely. When I packed my suitcase, I left my razor blades behind, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I did make sure I had my penknife in the pocket of my denim jacket. I knew I wouldn't leave without that jacket, and in that I knew I'd have my knife. But the week went fine, and I was so relieved to be able to wear whatever clothes I fancied, without having to worry whether or not it would reveal the cuts. In case it's not obvious by now, the protagonist, Alice, in the game, or myself, when I was younger, went through a lot of self-harm. I think I started maybe 13 or something. But like the stats at the beginning it's really prevalent, but we're just not talking about it, and I think that's half of the problem because it's so shut away and you have to hide it and feel ashamed about it rather than, I'm not saying flaunt it, but I'm saying we should be able to be open about it, at least with people that we care about in our lives. Yeah. So the main search on here is, how do I know if I have depression? And to be honest, I think if you're Googling that, you may have it anyway. But when you're young, and even if you've just not been someone who was brought up around speaking about things like this, you don't know if it's the case or not, and it takes a lot to go through the symptoms that you might have on like a website to be like, oh, this is applicable to me. And I'm not depressed. It's not me. So it takes quite a lot of time and talking to people to even be able to acknowledge it properly. Like I would have possibly thought about it, but I wouldn't have really gone, yeah, I definitely have depression, in the same way that you don't recognize any other things necessarily. Anyway, I also searched Boulevard of Broken Dreams tab, and is Richie Edwards still alive? Nice little radio.
I miss you. I don't know if I can even remember what your voice sounded like.
It's a funny thing, especially for those of us that didn't grow up fully with social media and access to stuff. We don't always have that much record of people that are gone. Like, we take it for granted now to have so many pictures and recordings and videos that, I don't know, like our grandparents never had any of that.
My friend gave me her old phone. Dad didn't like it, but I got to keep it. The sides light up.
I think we affectionately referred to it as the X Factor phone because it was something that was advertised on X Factor, maybe. I don't know. Or just like, it was cool to have Bluetooth and light up phones and things like that at that time. There was a couple of different ones that did. So yeah, despite the fact that mental health wasn't properly spoken about when I was growing up, there was still some awareness of it, and we sort of started to think about it in schools and had like a school counsellor maybe if you were lucky. It varied place to place though.
He still sleeps with me.
Oh, Wolfie. Okay, I think that's everything in this room. Let's go to another room. Okay, so Dan and Sam, if you remember in the last one, were down here, but they've moved now. It might seem like a gamey thing or a weird thing that hasn't been thought about, but the truth is we extended the house, and so they had different rooms, and then they put in new ones. Oh, I did miss something. Oh, sorry. I'll read this. Dear Diary. Anyway, today at school was awful. I can see everyone talking about me behind my back when they see the cuts down my left arm. Even my friends are all having private whispered conversations about me, and I feel more isolated than ever. I can just see everyone laughing about it. I wish I hadn't done it tonight, but I did. The back of my hand, up my left arm, and on my horrible fat stomach. But that feeling that lasts maybe 5 minutes, it makes me feel powerful and in control. I always stare at myself in the bathroom mirror. It makes me feel stronger. But then I hear my parents coming up the stairs. I always run into my room, turn the light off, and pretend to be asleep. Tonight I have my light on, but I have to turn it off soon or they will see me. I have to hide it. Hide from myself. Help me. So yeah, this was genuinely real things that I wrote, and you know, it's not someone who's in a good place, is it? But it's quite an effective one, isn't it? Like having such low self-esteem and really probably hating yourself and thinking that's what you deserve, and there's something satisfying about enacting how you feel about yourself, I suppose. If that's any sort of an explanation.
I can't wee if anyone is nearby. I hold it all night in case Dad gets angry we woke anyone up.
So we're kind of alluding to the fact that there's more problems in like the family as well now.
Look! Look at his hand! Do you know how this happened? You left your razor lying around in the bathroom. He could have been hurt so much worse. You're so irresponsible. Tidy your shit away.
Yeah, this was an incident I vividly remember when I was a kid. Well, not a kid, I was a teenager. But my younger brother, who we'll find a little bit more about as we go through the demo, got hold of my razor and had like cut his hand. It wasn't really bad, but it was enough that your heart like sinks into your stomach when you realize that like a small child's been injured by the fact that you're keeping stuff like that around. And to be fair, it's not directly linked to self-harm. Like most teenagers have razors and would shave, but I had sort of like allocated ones for self-harming, because when you speak to professionals, one of the first things that they'll talk to you about is that it's important to, if you can't stop, that you're doing it hygienically and not getting infections, and using the same thing over and over is not good, and so you should have like clean stuff in a similar way to like drug users would be given like free needles and things like that. I think having that, like, I do find it's like an addiction in a sense, because they treat it similarly in some ways and not in others. But yeah, so I had extras for that purpose. But yeah, I don't know. It was disciplined heavily, but I don't think they really acknowledged the reason why that had happened or why I had extra stuff. It was just, I don't think they wanted to think about the fact that I might have been going through something. I think it was easier to go, you're just being irresponsible about something, tidy it up, you know. Right, okay, let's have a look at these. Dear Diary, when I got home everything was fine for a few days. Then I confessed to my parents that I needed new school trousers. So on Saturday, my dad, my stepmom, my baby brother and I trailed to town to get new school trousers. My stepmom said that this shop is a sweatshop, so she was unhappy buying trousers from there. It's not like we have much choice. We don't have any extra cash. But then this triggered an argument. She said if we just had more money, we could buy things from a company that didn't treat their workers like shit. Dad apologized, but his company couldn't help not making money. They were trying their best. She said it didn't really look like it. Dad smacked his head on the nearest wall deliberately. They went on arguing like this until we got home. I'm not going into detail about it for the sake of my hand and your eyes. Dad then started insulting my stepmom's family to get at her, and needless to say, she was crying by the time he got home. I mean, it's no big deal. I've seen so much of it with my mum and dad and with my stepmom and dad. I'm a big girl, I can handle it and everything, but it upset me a bit that they were so willing to fight in front of a small child who is only 1 year old. My baby brother was understanding in a way what was going on, or at the very least he was upset by it. He didn't burst out screaming and crying like most babies would. He just sat there looking upset and scared. That was when I started self-harming again after my break from it, last weekend, the day after my friend's party. So this was all like in a small space of time because it's the kind of summer holidays where I was talking about how I'd stayed with my granddad and hadn't self-harmed, and then come back home and things like that were going on, and then it had triggered me to restart. And then obviously the diary entry under the bed that talks about how then people were laughing about it at school, like that you can read them in technically any order, but there's a rough chronology to it in terms of it's all related to the, like 1 month in time, I'd say. Okay, phone.
You have one new message. New message.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. I'm just calling to confirm your emergency appointment this morning at 11 a.m. for your daughter Alice following the incident last night.
So we don't really specify what the incident is in the demo. I might have to play the full game to find more out. But this room now should paint a picture a little bit of some things that are going on. So yeah, I mean, I spoke in the diary entry about having a stepmom and having a new baby as well. I mean, he was a sort of bit older than that, but stuff's lying around. I think it's just was telling the story that my dad remarried and had a new child, which is named Brandon in the game. So you have Alice, the main character, Dan and Sam, 2 brothers, and then another brother called Brandon. And so here in the game, I've mixed up some photos that I found that are definitely not of, quote, Brandon, which is, of course, not his real name. Right.
Hey, Alice, is your homework done for school?
Oh, I haven't quite had time to do it yet.
So yeah, it might be fairly obvious by now that that person speaking is the stepmom. They were the same person when you clicked on the razor to hear that.
I thought we could, go for a walk. Just us. Then we can talk about whatever you need to. Just tell me what's going on. I do care,
Yeah. So yeah, this compared to the last snapshot, you can see a lot more about who's living in the house at one time. And Tabby made all these coats, and the little yellow coat is so cute. But the shoes are so good as well. Look at them, juicy shoes. Nothing on that side of the room. I've got a card here.
Let's do your tarot cards, Alice. It might help.
Okay, that does sound nice.
Just pick one. It will represent your present. Oh, the tower. Destruction.
Is that bad?
No. It's like everything must crumble for a new beginning. So it's good.
It's a good save. Can you use cosmic ordering on lottery numbers? So you might have got from the diary entry upstairs that they were having a bit of money troubles. So yeah, they're looking at solutions for that, which may or may not work. Upgrading games console. Okay.
You sit there until your food's finished. I don't care if you're there all night. There are children starving in Africa who die for what you have on your plate.
Like, nowadays, you're just like, oh, tedious. Who says that? But I think so many kids heard it. Even maybe now they do. I don't know. I'm getting old.
I get up before everyone else and give Brandon his breakfast before school.
Okay, so that's cool. Back to school. Bantam music and moves at 11. Spiritual church, and then Sophie Reiki course starts. If you don't know what Reiki is, it's a kind of massage where you don't touch someone. It's kind of a spiritual healing where you're transmitting energy or reading energy to work out where the problem area is and then trying to heal it. If you're into that kind of thing. No judgment. Chore chart.
We only get 1 weekend day off chores.
I think someone remarked to me that the chores seemed unfairly weighted towards Alice, and that is how it was. Some fridge magnets. Oh yes, we missed this.
Oh, it's there to remind you what happens when you disobey me.
Oh, that line is so well done. It really makes you go, oh, every time you hear it, every time. Dave's an amazing actor. Okay, right.
Dear Diary, my name is Alice. What I'm about to tell you, I've never told anyone.
Well, that's it for the demo. Thank you so much for watching. And if you play it, thank you so much for playing. The team honestly is really small, and not all of us work on it full time. So it's genuinely a passion project. I started working on it as a student, and more recently been able to do it as my full-time job now, which is awesome. Yes, but I mean, if it looks slightly interesting to you, then absolutely have a play, wish this on Steam, or, you know, just follow us on social media if you just want to keep updated. But yes, awesome. I hope that was enjoyable, or not enjoyable, I don't know what the right word is. I hope that you felt something from it, and whether it's because you've never experienced those things and gained some sort of understanding from hearing about it, or whether it's because you have and you feel heard, that's the aim, really. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing next fest and just a good life. Thank you so much. Bye!